Chris Bridges, known as rap star Ludacris, is a three-time Grammy winner, a Hollywood movie star, a highly successful entrepreneur, and just recently he teamed up with a Canadian animation company to produce his latest project. Ludacris Chris Bridges on the business of entertainment. In the entertainment industry, Chris Bridges has had major success. Known for his fast, wild, and comedic flow of unique Southern rap, he made a name for himself with huge hits, How Low, My Chick Bad, and An Act a Fool. He's a Hollywood star, appearing in just under 30 movies, including The Fast and the Furious. Meanwhile, his entrepreneurial spirit runs deep and includes launching a major record label, restaurant ownership at Atlanta's airport called Chicken and Beer. And this past year, he partnered with globally renowned Canadian production company 9 Story Media to produce a children's cartoon for Netflix called Karma's World. It's a show that teaches kids all about self-confidence and self-empowerment. A massive partnership for the entertainer and the Toronto-based company. Congratulations on Karma's World. Chris, I'm going to start with you and the early inspiration, the genesis of this idea and where that came from.
The genesis of this idea, oh man, I am a man that has 4 daughters right now. My oldest daughter, whose name is Karma, she just turned 20 years old. When she was 6 years old, she used to come into my studio. I have one at home that I've recorded all of these hit songs that people know about of, and she would barge in all the time and say, "Daddy, I want to rap too." And I would always tell her, you know, if you want to do music, then you have to talk about what goes on in your life and in your world. And at that time, it was pretty much narrowed down to school and learning morals and, you know, integrity and occasional fun. And so from there, we started creating these songs together. And it was a dream come true because, you know, I was able to work with my daughter in the capacity of just being creative, coming up with ideas, coming up with characters, all these different things. And that's where the inception of this came from. So we're talking 14 years in the making, man. Wow.
That is pretty incredible, and as a father of daughters as well, they keep us on our toes, certainly, and they are a source of constant inspiration. And Chris, just in terms of connecting the dots from the early days of that idea and then getting to work with 9 Story, how did you go about executing the vision?
Well, you know, I never gave up. So there were so many roller coaster rides of ups and downs and going through those different characters and different animators and, you know, making the songs better and better over a whole decade of time. And then I got with Brown Bag, which is based out of Ireland, and 9 Story came into the picture, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened from a business standpoint, from a vision standpoint, from a creative standpoint. And that's exactly where I met my business partner, Vince, and the rest is history. You know, of course, we'll bring you up to date on the whole Netflix aspect of it, but in terms of just getting with the absolute best, when you talk about 9 Story, when you talk about Brown Bag, it does not get any better, and I couldn't have better partners to work with.
All right, well, Vince, as the partner, talk about your journey with Chris and the inspiration that you saw behind this project.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you, Chris. We feel the exact same way about our partnership. Well, when Chris called, I think he was inspired by Brown Bag's work on Doc McStuffins. And shortly after that, we merged with Brown Bag. We acquired them in 2015. I think Chris made the call in 2014. And he and I started to get to know each other, and we started talking about the project. And at that point in time, the world of broadcast was very dynamic. Netflix was really emerging as a potential partner, but we thought of the usual partners, Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Amazon and Netflix were emerging. And of course, now there's Disney Plus and many others that come on stream. And Chris and I have always had like a frank, honest relationship. And I said to him at the time, look, this is a great concept. It's a great idea. The world really needs it. And you're the exact kind of producer we want to partner with, someone who has a vision and is mission driven. And that's what we are as well. But this is going to take some time. We're going to develop it. And as we develop it, the world of content consumption is going to change. So we need to be patient around what that means in terms of how we develop it and how we put it on air. And I think I remember telling him at the time, it's going to take between 5 and 7 years before it gets to air. And it took 6, middle. And to Chris's point earlier, it launched on Netflix worldwide, October 5th, 2021. And we couldn't be prouder of it. The way it looks, the way it moves, the visuals, the music, and just the messaging too. But you know, contained in fun and joy delivered that way because we think kids really need that today more than we actually thought, given what they've gone through in the pandemic. It's exactly on point for us, and we couldn't be happier with what we've been able to deliver as a partnership.
Well, it is pretty incredible when you think about how quickly, Chris, the world has changed. And there used to be a conversation around, okay, traditional TV versus this streaming world. But looking back at this journey so far, what do you think having another partner like Netflix has enabled you to do just in terms of the storytelling here?
Man, they are very great to work with because they allow us to be creative and to not try and pigeonhole us to certain areas. Of course, we're dealing with children's television, but at the same time, we are able to talk about some of the real things that this exact demographic is actually going through. And I think that's part of the reason of the success. Also with the inclusivity and, me taking a page out of the Fast and Furious book and people wanting to see themselves represented all around the world. And that's what makes it so great as well. But, simultaneously over 190 countries, that's like a dream come true. So I think, we're always evolving. We're constantly thinking about what's next, but this is a trendsetter. And the way that people are responding to it worldwide, I could not be happier. If you talk about working on this over a decade and having a certain vision, people are over exceeding my expectations, and it's heartfelt. And I think that's what resonates with people.
And Vince, just to dive a little deeper, resonating when you talk about these challenging subjects, self-esteem and discrimination, and yet every parent sees this with their children and the challenges that growing up comes with. What did you think about, Vince, on this journey, about just those very powerful and important themes?
Yeah, the first thought that came to mind was, to tackle issues like this, we need authenticity within the voice that addresses it. And Chris offered that in spades. He also came to us in a situation where he said, this show comes from a place of positivity, but it deals with real issues. And we felt like that was something that the world needed. And again, as I said earlier, it was underestimated in terms of what pressures kids would be facing, largely due to the pandemic, that that this would be in response to. But the thing about, pick up on Netflix is a service, a broadcast service that really wants to deliver voices. They believe that unique voices break through. And when they heard Chris and the pitch and then the partnership, they believe that firmly and have been tremendously supportive partner from the get-go. And that was 2018 or 2017, I think late 2017. It's incredible to have that opportunity with that kind of partner, and then to simultaneously around the world drop it so everyone hears the message worldwide. It's an incredible opportunity, something that wasn't really offered before this partnership.
And Chris, you talked about that feedback you're getting. This is resonating with people who are watching it. What are some of the things you're hearing from people who are appreciating the program? Do you feel as well like it's also introducing a new conversation, more people talking about these issues?
100%, man. That's what sparks change. Just having the conversation. But to answer your question, I got a call last night from arguably the biggest star in the world telling me how much he loves this. I'm not going to name any names right now. The world will probably soon see because of how much he loves it. But, he's talking about the representation and nothing else being out there like this. There are so many different subject matters that we tackle, and a lot of them Karma actually went through as a child, dealing with a unique name and kids making fun of her. There are millions of kids with very unique names, even in different countries that someone in another country may not automatically recognize. Dealing with hair and how everyone's hair is different and how we should respect each other's cultures and similarities and differences. The list goes on and on, but I have a lot of friends that are calling me saying thank you. And again, that lets me know the 14 years was worth it.
Vince, I'll ask a similar question to you, because it sounds like when these messages are resonating, the partners in making television take notice as well. Do you think this opens doors to more conversations and more of this subject matter in television, in children's television?
Well, we certainly hope so. our belief is that it will. And the timing of it, again, and I don't want to harp on that too much, but the timing of it, I think, also helps, that opportunity to be furthered. The thing about what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a positive, safe environment within which we can talk about the issues of the world. It also has to be joyful and full of fun. And we'd like to believe that we will contribute, even if it's a small amount, to the conversation that will ultimately unite us as human beings. And
Wow.
Chris came to us. You came to us with that vision, Chris. And I'm not sure if I'm paraphrasing you or not, but I know if I'm not, I was inspired by it.
No, I just got chills with that. That's, man, it's such a bigger picture, and you said it better than I could say it right now. Uniting the entire world when they need it more than ever right now.
Yes.
No doubt about that. Well, it's been an amazing journey to watch, and it's exciting to see people responding around the world. And Chris and Vince, we appreciate your time.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Netflix premiered Karma's World to over 150 countries. It was critically acclaimed as a program that uses art and storytelling to inspire, empower, and elevate children. Music and art is what Ludacris built his name on, but he graduated with a business degree from Georgia State University. He's an industrious businessman who has owned his own liquor brand, developed real estate holdings, and operates his own record label, all while giving back to the community through his charity, Ludacris Foundation. Today, Ludacris Bridges is one of the most successful entrepreneurial entertainers in North America. Well, I love that you told us about those early days of conceptualizing the program and your relationship with your daughter and just creating music and then this coming out of it. It almost feels like there's this thread, because there's so many things that you do and do well, and in many ways they all have a thread. They all connect to a certain way. When you look back at everything you've done, how do you feel about the journey you've had? Because on paper or to the world, when we look at what you've done, everybody goes, wow, that is impressive.
Man, that means the world to me. Thank you, man. I feel really great about it, but I have to say, humbly speaking, I just learned from the best. There's so many great people around me, from the individuals that I've shot movies with that I look up to and am inspired by, to friends like Kevin Hart. And, everyone is about diversifying their business portfolio these days. So I have a lot of great inspiration around me, for sure.
No doubt. And did it just feel like an organic process for you to be making music and then making movies and then doing TV shows and business ideas? I mean, did it just come all naturally, essentially?
Man, I'm a lucky guy, man. But, early on, my mother used to teach me to set goals for myself. So whenever I'm doing one thing, I'm always thinking about whatever the next thing is and, to continue stepping up. And I think that this is just one of those opportunities where I stuck with it, and it should teach people that dreams can come true, because I could have given up at any point over the last 14 years. And to say it now just seems crazy, but I just kept at it, and I failed so many different times, or as I like to say, failed better and better every time until it got to where it needs to be.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about failure, embracing failure, referencing Kevin Hart as well. I think what's amazing about your success creatively and as an entrepreneur, I mean, there are a lot of parallels to the business world of people who go out there and grab something. In those young days when you were being very creative and thinking about a future in music, were you thinking about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, for sure, 100%, man. I went to Georgia State University before I became commercially successful as Ludacris. I majored in business management, and minored in music. So, the business is 100% what I was trying to always do. They call it the music business for a reason. You 90% business, 10% music. Business administration. Business administration is what I'm all about.
Do you still keep in touch with any of those friends from school who might have been thinking about business at the same time that you were?
Not only do I keep in touch with them, I'm actually an artist in residence right now at Georgia State till this day. So I still work hand in hand and giving back and, just trying to see what the next generation of students and leaders are going to look like.
So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but something else I want to just talk about is as you become an influencer, a well-known name, the power of your brand essentially becomes something that is an opportunity. And you've explored a number of businesses over the years. I wanted to talk a little bit about Cognac and your journey in that particular area. I guess it goes back more than a decade now. How did that get started?
Man, that got started because, I like you said, I have a love for cognac. I don't know who doesn't, but I was able to go to, I didn't even know there was a place called Cognac, France. That just lets you know you can love cognac but not even understand the history of it. But went there and blended, master blended my own cognac. And that was one of those businesses that was very fun, obviously, because you get to go through the whole process and understand and appreciate it a lot more. But yeah, there was a time where we had a cognac and we sold our part of the company, but that's what business is about. Buying, selling, continuing to learn, educate yourself, evolve, all of those things.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people were looking at your experience and your journey, because we've seen a lot of people look at the alcohol, the spirits market as an opportunity. And then other things come up, like what am I trying to create? What kind of product? And who am I creating it for? Like, what is this going to cost the person who is buying this? Were those some of the things in those early days that you were thinking about as you were building that brand?
Oh man, absolutely. Coming from, like I said, from school and understanding business administration and management, you always have to think about those things. That's the life of a company is really all dependent upon, obviously how much you spend versus how much you make, the profit margins, and making sure that you have a great product and something that the world needs. So I'm all about giving back, man. I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in the world, which is exactly why Karma's World is my best creative work to date, in my opinion.
And you're no stranger to the restaurant industry as well. I mean, it is pretty amazing thinking about all these different business areas that you've ventured into. For anyone who's moved into that restaurant industry or has thought about getting into it, tell us about your journey there as well.
Yeah, well, my third album was called Chicken and Beer. I'm sure a lot of people watching probably remember that. And if you don't, what ended up happening was I was able to make that album title into a real restaurant that's inside Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport, the busiest airport in the world, by the way. And it's in Concourse D. And this is a place that has a lot. I mean, we don't just serve chicken and beer, just so that people know, but there's a lot of great selections of chicken, and there's a hell of a lot of great selections of beer, local, international, all of those different things. So if you ever come to Atlanta, Georgia, please come check out Chicken and Beer, man. From an album title to an actual restaurant.
There you go. Music and chicken and beer and cognac, the list goes on. But you've made some references as well to giving back and being active in the community. And to your point, you've been very active in the community, the Ludacris Foundation. Why was that such a priority to you?
Man, it's always been a priority to me because I used to work at a radio station here in Atlanta before I became commercially successful as well. And we used to have to do a certain amount of community service every week. And I was so young, it wasn't the first thing on my mind. Like, this is something that I wanted to do. But once I started realizing the impact that I had on children and kids just in a local area in Atlanta, I was just, it hit my heart, and I hit the ground running ever since. So the more popularity I've gained, the more I've tried to give back and just continue to lead by example. But yes, the Ludacris Foundation is great. Whatever is going on in the world, not only do we focus on different pillars of trying to make sure kids eat healthy and they understand about growing their own food, but visiting hospitals and rehabilitation centers is big. If there's something like a hurricane or a flood, then we're trying to make sure we go to these different cities. Where something happened in the Bahamas and Freeport not too long ago, what just happened in Haiti not too long ago. So it's an international foundation that is just geared towards helping people help themselves.
With a program like Karma's World on Netflix, you obviously have had this chance to get real-time feedback from people around the world on how that is impacting them. Are there any stories you can share with us on just the impact you've gotten from people in doing the work through the Ludacris Foundation these years, just some of that meaningful feedback that you've received that powers you ahead?
Yeah, it's similar to a story that you just shared with me off camera, where it's like you do it for so long and you give back for so long that you tend to forget how many people you have impacted and the impact that you had on them. And so many people come up to me and tell me that they had no, that I did something for them or their school or their sports team. And this is years and years and years ago to the point where I may not remember. But it's so great to hear those types of memories and understand how it impacted them all the way until this day. These are things they're going to remember for the rest of their lives, and people pay it forward. And that's what's even more important.
Really impressive. We talk in the business world, especially these days, about the startups, the next generation of companies. And a lot of people approach you with ideas, and you have gotten involved with different startups, food delivery service, for example, among others. What's that process like if someone brings an idea to you? You're like the venture capitalist here. You've got to make those same decisions on whether or not it's the right fit for you, the opportunity you see. Can you walk us through your game plan, how you approach these opportunities?
Man, if you don't evolve, you'll evaporate. You always have to embrace what's new, and you should always be ahead of the curve. So it's important to listen with open ears and open arms and just to continue to educate myself as well. But I would say you can't also spread yourself too thin. So if I have a lot on my plate, I may only invite a certain amount in at a time. So it is a strenuous process, but as long as you delegate duties and have strong people around you, that's the most important thing. That's all you need to know.
And are there any particular areas? I mean, you've touched so many different areas, but anything that's piquing your interest right now, new areas you're interested in getting involved in, maybe investing in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just involved in kids, man, because I feel like helping shape and mold the new generation and showing them positivity and showing them to love one another is going to be the best thing that I can do for change. And that's how I feel, for positive change around the world. I actually have another startup called KidNation.com, and it's actually out, right now. So that's geared towards children and music as well. So Kid Nation is here. Karma's World is here. New Ludacris music coming in 2022. I got you guys covered. More Fast and Furious movies. The list goes on and on. I think I'm the luckiest man in the entire world, man. I get to juggle being a movie star and a rap star. And I don't think, too many people can say that. And I'm just humbled and very thankful for everybody that's been supporting me, especially in Canada. And if you love Ludacris, I guarantee you will love Karma's World. So make sure you check it out on Netflix.
That's terrific and an inspiration for so many. A last question for you, Chris. Just in terms of the message you would have, whether it's for those young people that are seeing Karma's World or people who have asked you for advice or they're just getting started on their journey, what are some of the things that you've learned that you think are really worth passing on to people who want to maybe follow in your footsteps?
Man, I mean, you hear the golden rule, treat people like you want to be treated. I would just say for all of the kids out there listening or parents listening, make sure you encourage your kids that it's never too early and they're never too young to be able to change the world. And I think that hope and inspiration and the dreamers, the new generation of dreamers is going to 100% turn things around, because right now we need a lot of positivity in this world and we need a lot of love. And love to me is the answer. So that's what I would say. Love is the answer. If we teach to love one another, I think we'll be good.
From the heart, as always, Chris, we appreciate your time so much. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Greatly appreciate it.